Friends, I deliberately delayed this video because I thought that Supreme Court may come up with the final judgment, even if late, but not that late. But once the Supreme Court has reserved its order, we are not sure how long they may take. It depends on them, how serious they are, and what is their priority. Anyway, in the last hearing that they had, the Chief Justice of India, he made ample indications about what they are thinking about and on what lines. Like that was the only news that appeared in Hindustan Times. And it says, the Chief Justice of India observed that the court would lay down a set of guidelines if it were to eventually rule in favor of subclassification. And further, while it will be open for the caste being deprived of preferential treatment within the SC/ST category to assail a decision of the state governments if subclassification is permitted, states will have to justify their decision based on empirical evidence regarding the extent of backwardness. This observation is very important because we had seen in the case of Bihar, the then CM included all the Dalit communities other than one into Mahadalits, and that was obviously a political decision against the leader Paswan and his party and his caste. At the same time, the bench acknowledges the concerns raised by some of the parties to the case that subclassification will become a tool of political approximation instead of affirmative action. Union government and states including Punjab, Tamil Nadu and Telangana support this subclassification. Now with this much of information, we can draw some conclusions. But the point is whether subclassification will serve the purpose, whether this objective of social justice will it be compromised. Even if you have these many classes and subclasses, do you have jobs for them? Even if you have a reservation in education, do you have quality of education? The fact is, court is having a very parochial thought about this reservation policy. We already know that this tribe and caste, these two categories, these were forced upon us by the British. And these two are very important factors in the conflicts within the country and to an extent between also. So should we stick to those terms and keep on harping about the reservation? That has not served the purpose. How would the Supreme Court justify even the subclassification, and how far it will go in terms of the benefits to the people or in terms of social justice? I don't think this classification, subclassification is going to serve. But nobody is thinking beyond this model of caste and tribe. That is the irony. Not even anthropologists. Anthropologists in their writings, they do write that these are colonial constructs. Andre Beze writes very clearly, almost 50 years ago, that we have talked about the caste as a colonial construct, but rarely the tribe. Why do we ignore this? Colonial constructs have to be dismantled if you really want to have unity of the country, and Supreme Court should think on those lines and should compel the state to think on those lines. I have already suggested that if this model has failed, you must look for another model. I have already said poor people exist in all communities of the country. If you are having sub-classification, you are excluding the upper strata. Again, it is an economic issue. So why don't you think in those terms? Why cannot economics be the criteria? You know, people are very jugadu, they can do anything. And the only solution I think of and I suggest, and I have been suggesting, that reservation should be kept only for the people who have studied in the government schools up to 12th class. This long you cannot fraud the country, defraud people. You cannot cheat the people for that long. And even if it is, you got to have strong penalties in terms of fine also, in terms of punishment also. The reason is for my advocating that how many people would prefer to send their ward to the government schools? And why? Because they cannot afford the private schools. And who will be these people? Obviously the lowest rung economically from all the castes and tribes. So if the state decides that only the government school education would be the criterion, two things will happen. Firstly, the quality of schooling will improve. Secondly, the genuine people, the ones who deserve, they'll get it. We already know that of all the schools which are there, 70% are the government schools and 30% are private. And still the number of students is 50-50. And this 50% in the government schools are the people who deserve reservation, not the SCs or STs or OBC or creamy layer or EWS or Supreme Court need to have a thought about it. I don't know whether my voice reaches them, but anybody who is convinced with me should try to spread this message. Reservation only for those who have studied in the government schools right from the beginning till the 12th. I wish everybody should respond to this video. I never asked for it, but opinions have to be there. I request, please do. Thank you.